Joe Rogan has entered the chat. Who has not entered the chat when it comes to these two? And this crazy story of Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds, because Joe Rogan has officially blasted Blake Lively.
Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively thing?
Bro, Blake Lively, talk about ruin your reputation, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan's trying to get out of it now. He's trying to get out of the lawsuit, and they're like, you were
the latest celebrity to blast Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
Hollywood adores its golden couples. Those depict ideal partnerships that look too beautiful to be true. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have long been praised as one of the most adored couples in the business. Admired for their charm, humor, and apparently perfect marriage, however, Reynolds, what if that flawless picture is only a skillfully created illusion? How are things going?
Oh, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are all smiles into their ongoing legal battle. On Sunday night, the couple attended the SNL 50, the anniversary special in New York City, posing for photos on the red carpet. For the event, Blake wore a silver gown that featured flowers, while her husband wore a classic tuxedo. Following the carpet, Ryan and Blake also made a cameo in the live special.
Here comes Joe Rogan, the podcast king of raw honesty and no-nonsense who never backs down from a contentious subject. Blake and Ryan are his most recent targets. Rogan said in a recent episode of The Joe Rogan Experience that the couple's marriage was a shrewd publicity gimmick and that the power couple may not be as genuine as they seem. But why did he target them now, and more significantly, is there any validity to his accusations?
His personality, celebrity to come forward and defend sweet Justin Baldoni, calling out Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, saying they effed up. Joe's spot on. Brandon and Joe are spot on, and it's just encouraging to see more big personalities, outlets, celebrities just talking about it realistically and not the way Blake and Hollywood is trying to spin it, which a lot in Hollywood are. Now, clearly, Joe's not afraid. He says what he wants. He always has. But still, it's still a massive, big platform. And to see him out there talking about it honestly and actually sharing the proper facts can't help Blake and Ryan. They must not like seeing such big personalities and people with so much sway.
This is one of the year's most talked about issues as the internet bursts in controversy, with celebrities and Hollywood insiders joining the discussion. Let's examine the allegations, the drama, and the potential ramifications for the future of Hollywood's golden marriage.
Blake being there. Why were they there? They were there because I think they both hosted. If you have hosted, you are invited. You can come to any of those events, correct?
Yes, and of course, we all know this, whatever. I don't do a deep dive on it, but there's some kind of legal action with some actor, Baldinos. It sounds like some kind of pasta place.
The context, though, if it turns out that Blake Lively made up all of her harassment complaints. So, I mean, imagine if it was reversed where you could only, you can deep dive into it, but that's obviously why the nuance there of why people were like, yikes.
Joe Rogan never holds back when discussing Blake and Ryan, and his tone was anything but humorous. He made a point that a lot of people might not have previously recognized: how their marriage frequently appears to garner media attention at the perfect times.
Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively thing?
Bro, Blake Lively, talk about ruin your reputation, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan's trying to get out of it now. He's trying to get out of the lawsuit, and they're like, you were a key part of this.
This is what you get, though. This is what you get. You're trying to ruin a guy's livelihood by using the Me Too movement?
Because they were trying to take over the movie.
Yeah.
They were trying to take over the movie and the whole franchise. He owned the franchise. The whole thing's crazy. And he's suing the New York Times, and he's got a great case.
He's going hard in the paint. But that's what it takes.
That's what it takes.
It's like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He's like, all right.
Yeah.
He did for the boys.
Exactly. You got to do it.
You need to be like, nah, man, I ain't going out like this.
Rogan claims that every time Ryan releases a poor-performing movie or the couple wishes to maintain their public profile, a new viral narrative about their relationship appears. The timing of these stories, whether it's a lighthearted Twitter conversation or a touching red carpet event, feels almost too ideal. According to Rogan, their meticulously manicured couple goals image is a well-oiled public relations machine meant to keep them relevant in Hollywood.
I like that. It was like known as being like this really sweet, nice guy.
Yep.
And then it's like, all right,
dude,
enough.
He posted the receipts.
Oh,
he's like, oh, remember our text exchange?
How about she told him to come into the dressing room while she was breastfeeding? And then part of the complaint was that he came into the dressing room while I was breastfeeding. Like, you literally have a text exchange back and forth. They just never thought that anybody was going to come out with the receipts.
Because no one's ever done it, because everyone usually just bows down.
Because everyone's scared.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Reynolds, A-list, Blake Lively, A-list.
However, he pointed out other things as well. Additionally, he attacked Blake Lively's girl next door persona, suggesting that the actress isn't as endearing as she seems on the internet. Rogan claims that she has a reputation for being extremely domineering on set and tightly controlling the stories that surround her career. She doesn't frequently hang out with A-list Hollywood women. That's not by chance, Rogan noted. Regarding Ryan Reynolds, Rogan hinted that his portrayal as a kind person could be a front. Deadpool's shield is more than just a fictional figure. Rogan asserted behind the scenes, he is a businessman first and foremost. Being loving and amusing alone won't get you a multi-million-dollar company. Hollywood was rocked by these remarks, and discussions on social media about whether Rogan was revealing secrets or just stirring things up sprang out.
Rogan has now made it clear what side he is on in the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni of it all. In the most recent episode of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, he called Justin Baldoni sweet. He says they effed up, referring to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. He says that Ryan Reynolds is now trying to get out of it, and they're just like, dude, like, you're a key player in this. You can't just get out of this. And he also says they ruined their reputation. So
because Joe Rogan has officially blasted Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, welcome to the club, for suing sweet Justin Baldoni. He says they effed up. He mentioned this on his podcast on Saturday. The best part about it is that he did this with 3 other guys in a room while they were watching boxing. It's the best guys podcast moment ever. Check it out. 4 guys sitting around watching boxing, eating snacks, drinking sodas, whatever, and talking about real life things. Because these are men who could easily have been in the same position as Justin Baldoni. And they're saying that no one ever fights back because it's the machine. It's Justin Baldoni versus the machine of Hollywood. Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively. And the thing is, using that Me Too movement, which is a woman using the words sexual assault or sexual harassment, everyone bows down. They're like, we can't fight back. But Justin Baldoni said, "No, not this time. I've got the receipts to..."
The consequences of Rogan's remarks were felt right away. Within hours, Twitter and Instagram turned into battlefields where proponents of Rogan's arguments squared up against supporters of Blake and Ryan. However, the way other celebrities started to weigh in was what really made things worse. Hugh Jackman, who has a well-documented friendship with Ryan Reynolds, was among the first to speak out. Jackman shared an old photo of himself and Ryan with the remark, "Some friendships are based on honesty and loyalty," in an understated yet obvious statement. Fans interpreted his failure to immediately respond to Rogan's remarks as an obvious demonstration of support for Reynolds.
Is your chair, like, higher than mine? Your chair looks like higher than mine.
Yeah.
It does.
What, does that matter?
I actually need the taller chair because I have a short torso. That's true. I actually have I'm 6'2", but...
Oh my God, I'm so bored right now.
It's just a little thing. I've had to deal with this my whole life. Oh my God, where are you going?
Right back, just a second.
What?
Please.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Look.
Dude, we got a job. What are you...
Easy. Okay? Can I just get a little light, like, piano, PSA kind of music there for a second? That's nice. That's nice. We hear so much about afflictions like obesity, stage 6 tuberculosis. There is an ailment that doesn't get enough attention. That's TTS, tiny torso syndrome. Do you know that 1 in every Hugh Jackman suffers from this disorder? Yes, he is a world-famous millionaire who sleeps on 16,000 thread count Giza cotton sheets. But that doesn't mean he doesn't feel. So if you see him and you can breach his 6-person security team, don't say, "Hey man, why is your belt chafing your nipple?"
However, a prominent Hollywood producer who wished to remain unidentified told Variety that Rogan wasn't totally incorrect. The producer disclosed, "Ryan and Blake have one of the most controlled brands in Hollywood. Every action they do, including impromptu social media posts, is a component of a larger plan."
Why and how do big PR companies or celebrities control social media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube? This is something we've been seeing a lot of, right? Content creators constantly saying, "I'm being suppressed." I have experienced that on my own platforms. And, I got a comment yesterday saying, "Well, I don't think it's happening to you because you have a smaller account or you don't have a huge following." That doesn't matter at all. And I'm going to show you guys why it doesn't. And this is literally my zone of genius. This is what I do for a living. So understanding how this is done is important for me because it impacts my clients and impacts myself. So it does not matter how big your following is. It does not matter if you're a big name in, the mommy sleuth zone. If there is suppression going on, you are going to get hit. And understanding how and why puts the power back, not just in the creator's hands, but in your hands as well. In the community, those that are passionate about Justin Baldoni and justice for Justin, or any other realm of justice that you're looking to have, right? When we understand media and what's going on,
I don't know if Blake would have still gone through with the whole like sexual harassment of it, because technically that's separate when you think of it, the smear campaign versus the sexual harassment.
Yeah, they're not.
But I don't think Blake didn't really, she still has no like evidence for the sexual harassment. That's what people are sitting and wondering. They're like, so, because they keep talking about the smear campaign now, they're not really touching on the SH sexual harassment part of it. And it's like, what happened to that? Because that's what actually was a huge part of the New York Times article. And that's why a lot of people in the beginning were on Blake's side, because when a woman comes forward and says that, you most likely would think she would be telling the truth, especially like such a person in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Stephanie Jones definitely was like pot stirring big time.
In the meantime, one of the few A-list women to speak out in support of Lively was actress Jessica Chastain. "People love putting women down for being successful," she tweeted. "Lake has always been courteous and professional." A larger discussion regarding how female celebrities are frequently held to a higher standard than their male counterparts was spurred by this statement. Even Reynolds' close collaborator on Red Notice, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, quietly voiced his opinion by like a tweet that said, "Joe Rogan has a history of abusing people without cause. Perhaps he ought to look in the mirror."
Like a million things that contribute to that. I mean, obviously, first, just being able to look around and have the room stay. Getting good spatial audio, right? If someone speaks, then it should do the audio. It needs to be 3D and come from the place where they're speaking. It's very interesting which things end up being important for this kind of creating this sense of presence and which don't. So having hands, obviously, if you're just looking around, but you can't actually like move things, that breaks the illusion. But having hands, like hand tracking that you can do stuff is important.
Nothing is as it seems, and that's the only thing that's really real. What do you think then? Is this just another instance of Hollywood drama, or is Joe Rogan onto something? Tell us in the comments section below.